This is your Unit 7 test review. Hopefully you've already worked these out and you're just checking over your answers and looking for explanations on the ones you didn't know how to do. All right, the first section is telling us to name the relationship between the angles in the picture. Here on number 1, you see that they are in the same location on both intersections, so these are corresponding angles. Number 2, you see that they are between the parallel lines, one on each side of that transversal. So this is alternate interior angles. Last one, number 3, you see that they are still inside the parallel lines, but they are on the same side of the transversal. So this is consecutive or same side interior angles. Looking at these next problems, first thing you should do is identify the type of angles. So that way you know if they are congruent or supplementary. So on number 4, these are corresponding angles, which means they are congruent. So I'm going to set 2x plus 6 equal to 4x minus 40 and solve. And so if you're solving, divide by 2, x is going to equal 23. That's all it's asking you to do here is to solve for x. So I've solved for x on the first one. Now we're going to look at number 5. I want to first identify what type of angles those are. So these are a linear pair. They make a straight line, which means they are going to be supplementary. So 6x plus 7 plus 3x plus 38 is going to equal 180. We want to then combine our like terms and use that to solve for x. X is 15. All right, looking at the last one. These are going to be vertical angles, and that means they are congruent. So we set them equal to each other and solve. And it's okay if you do these solving steps in a different order. As long as you're getting the same answer, it means you are still doing it correctly. And 45 is my answer. Oh, that didn't get attached. This next section is asking us to see if they are the sides of a right triangle. Remember, you're always going to use a squared plus b squared equals c squared, and c should always be your biggest side. So we're trying to see if they are equal. So I'm going to do 12 as a, 16 as b, and 20 as c. 12 squared plus 16 squared equals 20 squared. We're checking it. So 12 squared is 144. 16 squared is 256, and 20 squared is 400. So we combine our like terms here on the left, and we see that 400 equals 400. So yes, this is a right triangle. All right, number 8. So I'm going to do A is 40, B is 96, and C is 104. 40 squared plus 96 squared equals 104 squared. Trying to check that. So 40 squared is 1600. 96 squared is 9216. And 104 squared is 10,816. Combine my like terms, and I get 10,816. So it does equal. So then, yes, this is a right triangle. They're not all going to be right triangles. All right, let's check the last one. So A is going to be 8, B is going to be 14, and C is going to be 17. 8 squared plus 14 squared equals 17 squared. So 8 squared is 64. 14 squared is 196. And 17 squared is 289. Combine my like terms. 260. Oh, I wrote a 4. 260 equals 289. That is not true. So no, these are not a right triangle. On these problems, we need to find the missing side, and it needs to stay in radical form. Do not get a decimal. So to do that, we are going to use the Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. So c is always going to be the side across from the right angle. That's the hypotenuse. So 4 squared plus 6 squared equals our unknown c squared. So then we need to actually do the math. 4 squared is 16. 6 squared is 36. Equals c squared. Combine your like terms. 52 equals c squared. So then to solve, we are going to square root c, or square root both sides. So we have to do the square root of 52. So we got to break it down into a factor tree. So 52 is 26 and 2. 26 is 13 and 2, which means I have a pair of 2's. So 2 root 13 equals C. All right, looking at 11. It's turned a little sideways. That's okay. So we still have A, and we're looking for B, and we have C. So 9 squared plus x squared equals 14 squared. 9 squared is 81 plus x squared equals 196. We need to subtract the 81 from both sides. So we get that x squared equals 115. Then we want to break that down. I know it's divisible by 5 because it ends in a 5. So 5 and 23. 23 is prime. So when I take the square root, the answer is x equals the square root of 115. Now we're going to solve for the unknown angle. Remember, all triangles add up to 180 degrees. So at the top, you'll see on number 13, we have a straight line, and we have that one side is 117. So you want to do 180 minus the 117 to get the interior angle of 63. And now I'm going to replace that question mark with an x and set up our equation. 40 plus 63 plus x equals 180. Combine your like terms. 103 plus x equals 180. Subtract 103 on both sides. So x equals 77. And that is our unknown angle. So that's all we have to do on that problem. Number 14, it's asking you to find x. Remember, all angles in a triangle add up to equal 180 degrees. Oop. Kind of running out of space here. I'm zoom in a little bit more. All right. Combine my like terms. 7x, 5x, and 2x gives me 14x. Combine my numbers. Negative 11 minus 2 is negative 13. Minus 3 minus 16 equals 180. Now we solve. Add 16 on both sides. So we get 14x equals 196. So then we just have to divide by 14 on both sides. We get the x equals 14. Let's put that part there. All right, let's look at this very last one on this number 15. Yet again, all the angles add up to 180. If you didn't do these right, I would pause this before watching me work it out because you do need to make sure you have practice on this. Combine your like terms, 2x, x, and 2x gives you 5x. And looking at your numbers, 20 and 10 is 30. 30 minus 5 is 25 equals 180 minus the 25. So we get 5x equals 155. Divide that by 5 on both sides. So x is 31. With these next few problems, we're solving for the unknown angles. There are multiple, so we are going to do this in pieces. Looking at number 16, we got to find x, y, and z. So the one that is easiest to find first is x because it is in a triangle that already has the two other angles. And remember, it always adds up to 180. So we're going to do 28 plus 39 plus x equals 180. Combine your like terms. And we get 67 plus x equals 180 minus the 67 on both sides. So we get that x equals 113. So if this is 113, we need to then find y. And we can do that because they are a straight line, which means it adds up to 180. So 180 minus 113 will give us the 67 we had before. So we know that y is 67, so x is 113, y is 67, and now all we have to find is z. And we can do that because we have the other two angles in that triangle. So we can do 64 plus 67 plus z equals 180. You can use whichever letter you would like. So 64 plus 67 is going to be 131 plus z equals 180 minus 131 on both sides. Z equals 49. So we are done all the pieces of this one. Looking at 17, it gives us the angle 1 is 40. Angle 5 is 65. And find the remaining angle measures. So looking at this, it tells you that the top and bottom lines are parallel. So I'm going to go ahead and extend this bottom line a little bit just to make it a little bit easier to see. So if they're parallel, I'm going to have it cut by this burgundy transversal. So we know that angle 5 was 65. That's written in there now. So those are going to be alternate interior, angle 5 and angle 2. So that means angle 2 is also 65. And now we have the three angles in a triangle. We can solve for angle 3. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to call it x. Scribble it out and call it x. Scribble these other ones out. You don't think they're x as well? Okay. 40 plus 65 plus x equals 180. So then we can combine our like terms. 105 plus x equals 180 minus 105 on both sides. X equals 75. So this is 75. So now last thing you should see is that this is a straight line here at D. So we can do 65 plus 75 plus, I'm going to call this one y, equals 180. And we can solve there. Combine your like terms. And we get 140 plus y equals 180 minus 140 on both sides. So y is going to equal 40. So that's how we get all of those angles. All right, looking at the very, very last one. I know it's hand drawn, but it's telling you to find X, Y, and Z. So we see that we have a right angle here, so that's 90 degrees. Inside that, so if you're looking right here, we have, this is a straight line. I'm going to pick a different color and make it a little easier and actually highlight it. So we have a straight line right here, and we have two of those three angles, so we can actually set up an equation to solve that. So I'm going to get rid of that highlighter. So 55 plus X plus 90 equals 180. Combine your like terms. So 145 plus X equals 180. Subtract 145 on both sides. So X is going to equal 35. So this angle is 35 degrees. Now I need to find Y and Z. What we can notice here, I'm going to use my highlighter again, is that this is also a straight line. So it's a straight line with that 55-degree angle. So what we can do there is we can say Y plus 55 equals 180 and minus that 55. So Y is going to equal 125. And so if Y is 125, these actually, the purple and the blue and the pink lines create vertical angles. So Z is also going to be 55, but you can say, since that's a straight line, 180 minus 125 and get 55 as well. Hopefully that is helpful to you and you are figuring out how to do these problems. Part 4, we're looking at how to prove that triangles are similar. There are three ways: side, side, side similarity, side, angle, side similarity, and angle, angle similarity. Remember, when it's similarity, we're talking about proportions. We have to actually check out the proportions and make sure they work. So first one is asking us, is it similar? So we need to set up our three proportions to check. I'm going to move this up a little bit. All right, so I'm going to do the biggest side and the biggest side. So I'm going to do 1147 over 527 equals, and then I'm going to do the smallest, so 666 and, 306. Make sure the ones that are on the same triangle are written together. And last one, 777 over 358. And now we need to cross multiply them. Yes, you're going to have to do this twice. That's okay. So 1147 times 306, these numbers are massive, 350,982. And then 527 times 666 is 350,982. So it works here. All right, let's check the next one. So we're going to do 666 times 358 gives me 238, 428, and 777 times 306, and it gives me 237,762, which those are not equal, so no. And you can say not proportional. And so then we don't write a reason. All right, looking at number 20, same thing. You got to use one of our three options. So we have a set of angles, but they are not congruent. So this is going to be not similar because we only have one set. If you draw your small triangle, UNM, and your big triangle, SUT, you do have that similar angle up there at the U at top. But if you notice, 73 and 71 are not similar, so the answer is no. They, no, not enough, not congruent angles. Then we don't fill in the congruent statement there. Remember from class today, we talked about that those two little arrows mean that the lines are parallel. So if they are parallel, I'm going to go ahead and draw them a little bit thicker so that they're easier to see what's going on. And we have a transversal, so we have this burgundy transversal, which gives you alternate interior angles right here. Then we're going to have this pink transversal, which is going to give you alternate interior angles. I'm going to draw them in green here. So for similarity, we only have to have two sets of congruent angles, which we actually do have here. So yes, it is similar. Angle, angle, similarity. So now I'm going to have to do a little bit of erasing so that I can see the letters since I drew all over top of them. That's a D behind there. All right. So A, B, E. So we went, if you remember with the highlighter, A, B, E. So then we want to fix that. And so we got to go green to none to blue. So it's going to be D, B, C. All right. On 22, yet again, we need to figure out if the proportions are going to work out or not. And we're going to set them up. So we have 140 over, we got to do, actually, let's draw the triangles first before we do that. So I'm going to redraw the triangles, 140 and 266. And I got to add those two. So that's going to be 680 and 1292. So those are going to be the numbers you're going to use for your proportions. 140 over 680 equals 266 over 1292. All right, so 140 times 1292, because we got to cross multiply, is 180,880. And then I need to do 266 times 680. And that gives me the same thing. So we know that they're proportional. So we know we have pairs of sides that work. And if you notice right here, this angle V is actually in both triangles. So yes, they are similar by side, angle, side, similarity. And then we want to look, it says VCB is congruent to, the other one is going to be VTU. On this next one, you need to find the missing side. We are going to assume they are triangles are similar. That way we can use the rule that we know because they're parallel, then they are going to be proportional. So what we want to do is actually find this small side first. So we see that the whole thing here at the bottom is 24. So we want to do 24, take away 15, and we get that the small side is 9. So we want to find that small side there. So we are going to, even though it's asking us for the whole thing, we'll do that in a minute. So it's going to be 15 over 25 equals 9 over x, cross multiply. So 15x equals 225. Divide by 15 on both sides. So x is going to be 15, but it's asking us for the whole side. So to do the whole side, 15 plus 25 is 40. So make sure you're answering the question. Make sure you look back at what it's asking you to find. All right, looking at number 24. We have that little piece is 5x. So this one's 20, and that's the whole thing's 36. So this is going to be 16 right here on the end. And this piece up here is going to be 5x. Well, no, I'm sorry, 45 minus 5x for that little piece there. So we're going to set up our proportion. 45 minus 5x over 16 equals 5x over 20. So then we want to cross multiply. Don't forget we need to distribute. So I get 900 minus 100x equals 80x. Add 100x on both sides. 180x equals 900. Almost done. We just need to divide by x on both sides, or divide by 180 on both sides. So x equals 5. Let's check and see what the question was. So it just says find the missing piece of information. All right, so then we're good there with x equals 5. And last one, same idea. So 6 over 12 equals 5 over x minus 1. We want to cross multiply. 12 times 5 is 60 equals 6 times x minus 1. Distribute. So 60 equals 6x minus 6. Now we want to solve. So we want to add 6. 66 equals 6x. Divide by 6 on both sides. X equals 11. Here we want to make sure we use the angle markings to set up the proper proportions. So we're going to have 10 over x equals 6 over 12. So then we want to cross multiply. 6x equals 120. Divide by 6 on both sides. X equals 20. Now we're going to talk about congruent triangles. There are 5 ways to prove that triangles are congruent. Side, 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 angle, side, angle, side, angle, 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 side, and hypotenuse leg. So we're going to look at the first one and see, is there anything extra that we can add on to our triangles? They're not touching, so there isn't. So we want to look at what we have marked. We have our hypotenuse marked, and we do have one of the sides of the triangle marked. So this is going to be congruent by hypotenuse leg. So then if we're looking at our letters, we have QSR, and that makes it congruent to XZ, Y. All right, looking at number 29, do we have anything extra we can mark? We do. We have that joined side in the middle. So they are going to be congruent by side, side, side. Now the important part, the letters, we have N, Y, Q. So following that for the others, or for the other triangle, we have P, Y, Q. You do have to make sure those letters are in the right order. All right, looking at the last one, is there anything extra we can add on? There is. We have these vertical angles in the middle. So remember, you want to look at what we have. We have 2 sets of sides and a set of angles. So you want to look at which one. That means the only option really is side, angle, side. And the angle is in the middle between the 2 sets of sides. So that means it is our reason. So then let's make sure we follow the letters. We have C, A, B. So we're starting in the middle. So we know that we're going to have C. And then it went down the side with 1 tick mark. So C, E, D. Let's see if these are also congruent. So we want to see if there's anything we can add onto this triangle. And there isn't because they're not touching. But we do have 2 sets of sides and an angle. I know it's a right angle, but we don't have the hypotenuse marked. If you look right here, that one's not marked. So we can't use hypotenuse leg. So we do have a set of sides, a set of angles, and another set of sides. So it is a side, angle, side. Remember, because that angle is between the 2 sets of sides. So then BAC, so it started at the right angle. So it's going to be E down the side with only 1 tick mark, D, and then F. Looking at number 32, we see, is there anything extra we can mark? And there is. There's that middle side. So we have 2 sets of sides and 1 set of angles. So we're looking to see if we can make side, angle, side work. So we want to see, is our angle that we have between our 2 sets of sides, and it's not, otherwise it would be at the top. So these are actually not congruent. So we do not fill in our congruency statement. All right, last one, number 33. Is there anything that we can mark? There isn't because they are not actually touching, so we can't add anything extra. But we do have 2 sets of angles and a set of sides. So we can have angle, angle, side, or angle, side, angle. So we need to ask ourselves, is the side that we have between the 2 angles or outside? It is actually outside, so it is going to be angle, angle, side is our reason. So if we follow our sides, we have C, A, B. So we went from the one with 2 swoops to 1. So it's going to be H, E, S. And that's what you need to do there. Please make sure if you did not do the quizzes earlier this week, a new one has been opened up that you can complete through Friday for your grade. Please make sure that you are studying for your test tomorrow and completing all other makeup work since the late work deadline is also on Friday. If you are supposed to check in with me during office hours, please make sure you do that as well. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out, and I will see you on Friday for your test.